The New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, two of the most the New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, two of the most historic franchises in the National Football League, had a phenomenal game yesterday. Probably the best game we've seen in forever between these two teams. I say probably, I know it was. In the last 5 years, the Giants are 1-9 against Dallas Cowboys, and the games usually, if they are close, aren't really that exciting. They also lack meaning in most seasons. They just can't get it done against the Cowboys, and it's never very fun. I mean, the last time I've seen a game this good between the Giants and the Cowboys was all the way back to Odell Beckham Jr., his three-finger catch when he got PI'd against him in the end zone, receiving that ball from Eli Manning, who is just doing literally anything but playing football now. Good for him. He's having a blast. But point being, this was a great game between two historic teams, between one of the biggest rivalries in the National Football League, and it finally lived up to its billing. The Dallas Cowboys defeating the Giants in heartbreaking fashion, 40-37, 41 combined points in overtime and the fourth quarter alone. It was a game for the ages, and honestly, we already had an argument for a game of the year between the Ravens and the Bills. I think this game between the Giants and the Cowboys may have topped it. I think it may have. I think Lamar and Josh Allen will get people to say it was that game. But the Giants Cowboys was pure excitement. I mean, it was deep shot after deep shot, home run ball after home run ball. Just a phenomenal, phenomenal game between the Giants and Cowboys. And there's a lot to cover for both sides, but I want to start off with one person in particular, and that is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, the most highest paid player in the National Football League, the highest paid player in the National Football League, the Dak Prescott. Dak went out and he balled out. 350 yards passing, two touchdown passes, one to newly acquired wide receiver George Pickens, his first in his tenure on the Dallas Cowboys. And he also had a phenomenal 14-yard rush in overtime to set up Brandon Aubrey for a layup of a field goal for 46 yards to win the game. And Dak, the past 2 weeks, has looked like the Dak that we all knew he was. Okay, he's a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, but right now he looks like he could be in the running to be a top five quarterback in the NFL after this season. Against the Eagles, his box score was terrible. Let's be honest, 88 yards passing. He didn't look good. They lost 24-20, but he played phenomenal ball against the Eagles. And if it wasn't for CeeDee Lamb playing a game that is very unlike him, very unusual, where he had four drops, three in the fourth quarter, two on the final drive, we could be talking about the 2-0 Dallas Cowboys. And Dak was playing surgical against the Eagles, and he did the same against the Giants. And it was without the help of any running game early on. In the first half, the Cowboys had 16 yards rushing. By midway through the third quarter, with 7 minutes left, when they went up 17-13, they had 26 or 27 yards rushing. It wasn't until that touchdown run to put them up 17-13 by Javonte Williams where that run total increased, right? So the point being is Dak was doing a lot of it on his own early on for 2.5 quarters. He was doing it by himself. And throughout the game, he was playing with poise. He was playing with confidence. That leg, his injury from last year looked like it didn't hamper him. It looked like his hamstring was fine and nothing was tight, and he was just playing like old Dak Prescott. He was playing like the runner-up for MVP 2 years ago, where he had 4,500 yards, 36 passing touchdowns, single-digit turnovers. He didn't look like the Dak from last year, who was just wasn't playing like himself. He was playing loose. He was playing poised. He was playing with confidence. He hung in the pocket against what most say, like, I mean, I'm most in this equation too, a top 10 front seven in the National Football League. He got sacked 3 times. He got hit 7 times. He had a couple roughing the passers called, and he got hit in the pocket pretty well. But he hung in there till the last second so he could deliver dimes to George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, to Turpin, who looks phenomenal. I mean, he is looking like the slot receiver Dallas has been trying to find for quite some time, just like George Pickens is looking like the wide receiver they've been searching for since Michael Gallup in 2020 when LeBron won his last championship. Dak looked really, really confident, and he was dicing apart this Giants secondary. He was amazing, and he put balls where only his receivers could catch it. I mean, he had a ball thrown in double coverage with a safety right on the back of CD and a corner right in front of him. Six hands were in the air, and CD came down with it only really touching his two hands. Dak was playing awesome. I mean, that's that. Point being, Dak is back. If you didn't think he was back last week, you better believe it now. He did it against two top 10 defenses, against the defending Super Bowl champions. He did it in front of a sold out AT&T Stadium. He was phenomenal down to the last second, and he looked poised when he had that 19-yard completion to Jake Ferguson in the fourth quarter. That dot down the middle, he just looked composed. And in overtime, he threw that beautiful ball to George Pickens, and it was going to sub a 60-yard field goal. Looked like the Giants were about to get a sack on him. He popped out the pocket, ran for 14 yards. Okay, and this time he slid without time expiring. Dak is back. He looks amazing. That's the main storyline. Now, when you look at the rest of the team, you look at the defense for the Cowboys, the rest of the game, I should say, the offense of the Giants, the defense of the Giants. We'll start off with the offense of the Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson. That's my takeaway from this game. I like Russell Wilson a lot. I really think he's the answer for this season at the Giants spot. But the reason why I say Wan'Dale's the answer is he gives you something the Giants have been looking for quite some time. It's a reliable wide receiver too. And again, this is just one game and not a big track record like Dak, so I'm not gonna tell Giants fans they have their answer already. But when the Giants drafted him in the second round from Kentucky, this is what they expected. They expected him to be a slot guy that can find open spots in the zone coverages. But that's what Eberflus was running the entire time, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. And he was able to exploit it. He had a beautiful touchdown, 30-yard touchdown, where he had Trayvon Diggs trailing him. He was playing amazing football for the New York Giants, and that frees up Malik Neighbors. It gives him some easier coverage to go against. And if he has tough coverage, if he's double teamed in the future or has the best corner on him, maybe it just frees up holes for Wandale. Darius Slayton, another big game or another big answer, I should say. He had a great 50-yard catch for the New York Giants that was right down the sideline, right sideline of the field. And Slayton, he's your speed threat. That's why the Giants signed him to that 3-year deal this offseason. He had two catches for 61 yards, his long being for 52. That's what they want from him. They want someone to take the top off the defense. They have their elite receiver and Malik Neighbors who just throw it up to him and usually comes down with it. And you have Wandale exploring the zone and looking like a true wide receiver too. So I'm loving what I'm seeing for the Giants receiving core. And it's still young, right? I know Slayton's on his second contract. Wandale is going to be looking for his second contract in due time very soon. Malik is a second year guy, but they're all in their early to mid 20s. Point being, this is a receiving core that has room to grow, but more importantly, it's just they're going to stay together. They have the ability to stay together and succeed, and it's not a concern in terms of, you know, well, one's 30 years old, are they going to fall off? No, that's not even entering anyone's mind for the next 4 years. So that's beautiful news. The running game, weird. Tyron Tracy losing carries already. Scattaboo, he had 40 something yards rushing. He had a touchdown. He had that amazing rumble down the 1 yard line off that option with Jackson Dart. He looked great, but really odd. Entering the season, I didn't expect Tyron Tracy to be um, this workhorse of a running back, but his underutilization was very weird to me. I thought this can be a more dynamic backfield, and it should be. So that's something to keep an eye on for the next couple of weeks. Does Scatterbo take over? Does Tracy get phased out? What is going on there? But the one thing I do know is that whether you like Tracy or not, what the heck are you doing, Brian Daboll? You have Devin Singletary in the game in overtime on 1st and 10 on your second possession. Are you a lunatic? Like, huh? I mean, that play call in itself was terrible. We'll get to that later on, but that was stupid. That was dumb. I'm sorry. Like, Devin, this is not personal. I hope you ball out. I'm glad you got your contract, but why is he in the game? I don't get it at all. But looking at this game as a whole, for the Giants, offensively, it's a lot to be proud of. Russell Wilson balled out, and if you're the Giants, if you're a fan of the Giants, you should be happy. Even if you're pro Jackson Dart, the only reason why you were pro Jackson Dart was because Russell Wilson had a terrible game against Washington. But take that with a grain of salt, okay? Like it was his first game on a new team. Everyone in week one looked absolutely dog water anyway. Like you can't point aside from the Bills and the Ravens, if you point at every team that played, all the other teams that played in the NFL, that the excuse me, all other 30 teams, none of the offenses looked good in week one. Like let's not hold it against the guy. You also don't want Dart to be playing, okay? Because he's a rookie and we haven't seen many rookies come in aside from that crop of, I mean, aside from one quarter, if we're being honest, aside from one quarterback and Jaden Daniels, we haven't seen many quarterbacks come in right away and go scorch earth. I mean, most of the times they struggle, and you don't want to put Jackson Dart in a situation that he can't handle yet. He can be great, I'm sure and I hope he is, but it just isn't the time for him, especially in this gauntlet of a schedule. You have the Chiefs coming up. You have the Chargers coming up. I know the Saints are there, and that's what people are circling of. Oh, well, that's when we get Dart in. That's when we play Jackson Dart. But the reality is, you want to wait till about the start of November when there's a lot more almost I want to say layups, but the schedule just it lightens up. You don't play as the Eagles twice in 3 weeks. You don't play a lot of these tougher teams on your schedule until in that period of time. So that's when I would say if you're gonna wait for Jack Star, that's when you want to get him to play. But more of the story though, point being is you want to win football games. I talk about the receiving core being young, the running back room being young. But you look at the defense, they're not young. You have a bunch of second contract guys. They want to win games now. If you want to keep the locker room zoned in, you need to win games now. Russell Wilson provides that. And I'm just happy for the guy. I mean, he is a good quarterback. And when Andrew Thomas is back in week 4 or 5, that's going to be a big lift to this team. But the Giants, what they showed me this game was their defense was extremely underwhelming and got exploited, but it's a credit to Dak hanging in the pocket and playing good football. Now, are they something in the middle of what they were last week? Well, let me rephrase that. They played good football last week, but are they something in the middle of what they did this week and also their expectations, I should say? Probably, right? They probably are more of what they were last week. That's probably what they will be consistently. 20 points given up, that's a really good defense, okay? That's what you want. If you can average 20 points given up per game in the NFL, you should win a lot of football games. But that was bad from the defense, but don't let that hinder your thoughts. Now, talking about the Giants, just real quick, a few quick thoughts. Um, I didn't like what they did. Chris Sims, I don't know if you guys follow him. Chris Sims spoke about this a little bit as well. But it looks like the Giants, when they were playing, they were running fronts and to me the biggest concern to me was what I saw at the end of regulation that allowed Jake Ferguson to have that 19-yard catch. But they were running a lot of five-man fronts and they were bringing pressure when it just wasn't working. Like they got 7 QB hurries, they got 3 sacks. But that was because their dogs in the front, Abdul, Dexter, and Thibodeau, and Brian Burns were generating pressure. Thibodeau had 2 sacks, Burns had the other sack. Okay, or excuse me, Thibodeau had a sack, Burns had a sack, and then Garcia had a sack on in overtime with a 4-man front. Okay, 5-man front wasn't working. You're just eliminating one guy in the secondary at that point. So I thought that was pretty ridiculous for the Giants to run, considering Dak was having his way and the 5-man rush wasn't generating more pressure because they were already getting the pressure with the 4-man. I mean, it was the wrecking crew they had and the 4-man front was already getting there. So the fifth man wasn't working. That was stupid that they kept it going so often. But the thing that really concerned me was I'll take it. Dak had a great game, whatever, yada, yada, yada. You're playing prevent defense and you're rushing four. What are you doing? You got to drop another man back, okay? You got to bring a 3-man front. Dak can run, but in that situation with 20 seconds, 15 seconds left in regulation, needing to get another 20 yards, he's not a speed threat, okay? The safeties would have collapsed, the linebackers would have collapsed, and Dak would not have gone the first down. He would not have gone what Jake Ferguson got on that catch to set them up in field goal range. It's just like that was a very lapse in thought by the Giants, and that ultimately cost them the game. Just like the play calling on their second series and overtime cost them the game. Okay, Why are you running a screen to Devin Singletary on 1st and 10 of your second possession of overtime? Okay, why are you doing that? The, First off, like I said before, I would rather have Tracy in that backfield. He's a bigger back. He's a great receiving back, okay, because he played wide receiver in college for a little bit. Tracy should have been in there, not Singletary. But talk about the pure play call. Kenneth Murray was the one guy on the Dallas defense that was balling out. He was flying all over. He had 7 tackles this game against the Giants, 9 against the Eagles. He's been like this since he's entered the league. And when you watched every single play, he was always sitting pat in the middle and being a heat-seeking missile to the slot receiver, getting a great tackle and Robinson on times, getting to the running back when they get a dump down pass to them. So your trick play to catch the defense off guard is to do a screen. That or yeah, running back screen, that is pretty for a lack of better terms, dumb. Okay. I don't know what you're thinking there if you're buying Dayball. I'm not a fan of that move. And then the interception of Malik downfield, miscommunication. I'm not going to hold that against the coach, the wide receiver, or Russell. I mean, stuff happens, okay? But all in all, that was a game that I think the Giants lost based off of some crucial play calling. I mean, I know it's a screen pass, but it lost yardage, and then it just changed. A 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13 is different than a 2nd and 6. Okay, that's all I have to say. The defense will play you differently. The play call will be different. What Russell thinks it's gonna be different. And ultimately, though, that defense at in the end of fourth quarter would like bring a 3-man front. You don't need to get pressure. You're not gonna get Dak like that. Like that was just that was silly to me. Last thing I'll say, flipping to Dallas's defense, is that they got shelled offensively by the Giants, but they're gonna be okay. They played amazing against the Philadelphia Eagles. Their concepts are working, especially in the passing game. A.J. Brown had 1 catch at the end of the fourth quarter. Matt Eberflus is a great defensive coordinator. The Colts were great when they had him. The Bears were awesome on defense when he was the head coach there. Dallas is going to be really good with him there. And they didn't have Deron Bland, their best defensive player. Okay. So when you don't have Deron Bland there, yes, your secondary is going to take a hit. Okay. He got paid 96 or 4 for a reason. The zone coverages, I think it was just the defense trying to pick up on a new scheme. They're going to be okay. Maybe they're not as great as they were against the Eagles, but they're not as bad as what they were against the Giants. There's something in the middle, and that's going to be good enough with this high-powered offense that the Cowboys have. So all in all, if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm walking away thinking, what a win. Dak is back. He got paid that money because he's that dude. He's going to be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL this season. If I'm a Giants fan, I'm walking away with that was the most gutting loss I have ever seen because of how they played, how great they look in the point time in the season. You have 2 tough games coming up, thankfully at home, but 2 tough games nonetheless. Being 1-1 resets your mindset and it allows more room for error because the next 3 games, if you're a great team, which are a good team, which the Giants probably are, and they want to be a playoff team, you're going to win 2 out of those 3 games. Playing the Saints, that's a win should split between the Chiefs and the Chargers at home. But instead of being 5 games in and being 3-2, you're going to be 2-3, and that's a scary sight to see. It just doesn't look as good. It doesn't feel as nice either. So I'm concerned with that situation, and I'm also questioning how is this defense going to be? They were a top 10 pass defense last year. They were not that against Dallas, and they were like that against Washington. Jaden Daniels only had 230 yards passing. Final thing I want to say before I sign off is Giants, Russell, you guys need to work on your red zone ASAP. There was I counted 6 times. 6 times the Giants were on the opposing team's 20-yard line against or within 20 yards or within against Washington and against Dallas. And they settled for 5 field goals and they went 4th and 4 and out or they settled for 5 field goals and then they had a turnover and downs this past game against Dallas. No, I'm sorry, guys. I'm all over the place. They settled for 4 field goals, and then they turned it over on downs twice. Once against Washington at the 3-yard line, and once against Dallas at about the 16-yard line. If the Giants can execute in the red zone, again, they may be looking at a 2-0 record. So it's a lot of what ifs if you're the Giants, but work on that red zone, and who knows, maybe things will be different. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you, and have a blessed day.